James Gunn's Superman film released this weekend, and despite my concerns with him directing it, I actually ended up enjoying it like everyone else. For the most part. The James Gunn isms I was worried about being in the movie were still in the movie, but it didn't completely ruin the experience, just soured it a bit. There's a lot of things that did work, a few things that didn't, but ultimately this movie was competently made and laid out a decent foundation for the future of the DC cinematic universe. But before we get into the actual review, I wanted to do some channel updates. So if you want to skip to the other parts of the video, I have that time skip, but don't actually do that because this is important. If you like me, you like me, right? I've been good to you. Also, sorry if my voice sounds very nasally. I just got over like the allergies or like some flu. I probably wasn't flu, a little cold or something like that. I was sick AF, as a cool kid say. So we just got to deal with that together. Sorry about that. Thank you guys for watching the Evil Superman video that I released like a month ago at this point. To unlift the hood of my channel for a little bit for you guys, or however that saying goes. That video is supposed to be a soft reboot of the channel. Before the green screen video, or that video, I did like just voiceover edits with like me like talking behind the mic and having video essays stuff. And this new green screen format is kind of like the format I want to push my channel forward towards. That weird way of saying that, this is what happens on my script. I say weird things. I ultimately want to move away from the superhero stuff. Reason why I did the Evil Superman video first in this format is because something that was popping on my channel. I thought people might watch it. But after that, I want to focus on video game content. In fact, the next two videos I'm working on are video game related videos. So and, I know that might be a problem because a lot of you guys really like the superhero content. So even if you don't like the video game topics I have, please either watch the video to support me or share it out with people who you think might like the video game stuff. So look forward to that. I'm currently writing the script for my next video right now, but I'm having some roadblocks with that. So that, I don't know when that's gonna come out. I hope it comes out before the end of the year, and then the other video will come out. So yeah, that's it for housekeeping. Let's get on the review. I've been talking about that for way too long. As I said in my intro, I feel like this movie, the biggest problem with this movie is the tone was just a little too jokey, and that's kind of my big concern with. That was my big concern with James Gunn directing this movie. He's really good with the weird B-list characters like the Guardians of the Galaxy or the Suicide Squad, even the Creature Commandos recently. If you haven't seen that show, it's a really fun show. You should check that out. The reason why those movies and TV shows worked out the way they did is because those are like weirder characters and it kind of fit with that weird tone that James Gunn always has. But with Superman, I was like worried. Superman's like a very mainstream popular character. He's like Mr. Superhero. Like everyone and their mom knows who Superman is. My camera's about to die. I hope I can get through this. But anyway, I felt like him directing this movie wasn't the best choice. And those fears were kind of confirmed with this movie. This movie is very is a little silly, is a little comic booky. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I feel like where it really hurts the movie is that it doesn't really delve deep into its themes. Superman is supposed to, his big struggle, I said this in my Evil Superman video, his big struggle, he's this big powerful character that has to prove to everyone that he's on their side. And this movie kind of hints at that in the beginning, but then it kind of drops it towards the end. But what did work about the movie, I think the most important aspect, David Cornsweet, as Superman was really good. I thought this was a solid interpretation of the character, very comic accurate. He's very pretty much this gentle giant. Like he pretty much is a character that uses his words first and then uses his powers at the last resort. He's more worried about saving a squirrel when he's dealing with this big monster over making sure that monster is killed or whatever. I think that was really cute. And he's just this giant nerd, just giant dork. He says what the hey man, and this other says shucks or whatever. These little dorky things that Superman's known for. I think David Cornsweet nails that charm of Superman very well. Lois Lane was also really good. I thought she was a very smart, very competent reporter. I thought she worked well off of Clark Kent. I thought their relationship was really solid when we got to see them. The Justice Gang was pretty cool for the most part. Mr. Terrific. I don't know why I said Mr. Fantastic. Mr. Terrific was a huge standout. I feel like everyone's gonna walk out this movie thinking that he is the best character in the movie, the best human character in the movie. We'll get to best boy in a second. But yeah, he had a couple cool scenes. Had a really fun fight scene with Lois Lane in the middle of the movie. That was really fun. Guy Gardner was not in the movie as much as I thought he was going to be in the movie. I always like appreciated the idea of Guy Gardner. I never liked the character, but I loved that he's just kind of this character that everyone in the universe kind of agrees is an a-hole. And I was excited to see that interpreted in like a live action format, and it was done really well when he was on screen. I think Nathan Fillion did a good job with what he was working with, the little screen time he had. And I think everyone kind of agrees that Hawk Girl was a little shafted. I don't think James Gunn really fleshed her out as much. She wasn't really given that much to do. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's fine. I think where people were mostly hit or miss was with Lex Luthor. Now, I personally enjoyed Lex Luthor. I don't think he is perfect. There are definitely things that James Gunn did with the character that made him a little bit too cartoonish, to the point where I'm kind of like, it took me out of the movie a little bit. I'll get into that in my spoiler, but I'm gonna have a spoiler talk after the segment, so it's all in one video. And I'll warn you when I get there. But there is just some things where he's so petty to the point where I'm like, dude, do you need help? Do you need to like use all your resources to pay for a psychologist or something like that? Like you need attention, man. And I was getting a little concerned, but I think it worked for the tone of this movie and what James Gunn was kind of go for. I just kind of prefer the Lex Luthor from like the Justice League cartoon and even Young Justice, that show from the 2000s, where he's more calm and composed, and he's more of like you don't really know what he's thinking, but he's always like 3 steps ahead of the heroes, and they have to be 5 steps ahead of him to pretty much overcome it. I don't really feel like Lex Luthor in this movie was really like that. His plan was very complicated and convoluted, and it could have worked. But I think his own ego kind of got in the way of that, and it was more obvious that his own ego got in the way of that instead of it being a little more subtle, if that makes sense. So Lex Luthor, I personally liked him, but I can see how people probably didn't like mess with him. But I think the best part of the movie was definitely Crypto. He definitely stole, and yeah, my camera just died. That's okay. I used that time off wisely. Anyway, I think I was talking about Crypto. Crypto, he was best boy. He was really fun. Solo show every single time he was on screen, to the point where he actually ruined a scene, which I'll get into that in the spoiler talk. But yeah, Crypto was great, very cute. Used to Crypto being like basically Superman, but in a dog form from the cartoons and stuff like that. But here he's just a dog with Superman's powers. I thought that was just really cute, really fun. James Gunn knows how to write his animal sidekicks. The score was actually really disappointing. I don't think anyone really talked about the score for this movie. It really just remixed the John Williams score, which is fine. I think the trailer kind of hinted at that anyway. But I felt like, the trailer was like, using the John Williams score for nostalgia, and they use it in the Superman film, it'll just be for the big moments, but they'll have an original score that they can borrow from. But there really was no original score. All of the music was pretty much ripped from the John Williams score, which, I mean, that embodies what Superman is. That score is Superman. When you think of Superman, you think of the John Williams score. I feel like this movie doesn't have its own identity when it comes to that music. That's another positive for Man of Steel. I dog that movie a lot, as you guys know, but at least that movie had its own score for Henry Cavill Superman. This movie doesn't really have its own score to identify with David Cornswood Superman. So I think that's some negative points for this version of Superman. Also, I think another negative people might have, I didn't really mind it, but Superman gets his butt kicked pretty much the entire movie up to the very end. And I felt like a lot of people are going to be complaining. A lot of the Snyder Bros out there. I know you out there, but a lot of people are probably going to complain that the Superman's kind of weak. And he doesn't really do anything. I think that was fine, because this version of Superman is more about just talking with people. He's a talk first, punch later kind of guy. He uses his powers as a last resort instead of it being his main identity. In fact, there's one point in the movie where he's talking to the bad guys before he kicks their butts, saying like, hey, you don't have to do this. It's not too late to join the good side before he starts whamming them. And when he starts whamming the bad guys, he goes all out on them. Like, I think towards the end of the movie, the Superman action towards the end of the movie is probably some of the best Superman choreography, some of the best Superman fighting I've seen in the movie. Man of Steel probably had it beat in certain aspects, but I think the way that they pull out the action in this movie is very creative and it's very fun. Those are all my spoiler-free thoughts. I'm going to move on to the spoiler-esque thoughts now, since this movie's already been out, and I figure people probably want to know what those thoughts are. So, haven't seen the movie, I'll show you where the spoilers are so you can get to the end of the video. You can just leave, I guess. I don't know. If you're watching the video, really appreciate it. But I'm going to start spoiling stuff now. So if you care about that, leave now. I'm going to give you a second to leave. Are you gone? All right, sick. Kind of alluded to this in the beginning of the video, but essentially one of the big twists of this video, or sorry, one of the big twists of the movie is that Kal-El's parents, Clark's parents, didn't send him to Earth just, you know, to be the symbol of hope for humanity. They also sent him to Earth to pretty much, you know, invade and conquer the planet and like kind of spread his seed across humanity so the Kryptonian race can live on. And at first I didn't think much of it because I thought, so like, you know, Lex Luthor stole the message that parents gave Clark as a baby and sent it out to the world. I thought he he manipulated the message in order for people to think he was bad, but that's actually what they said. And I just kept thinking, oh, they're just gonna retcon it in the movie, and they never did. And I guess it's just part of the lore for Superman now, and I think that's fine. It works for the movie. It works for, like, I guess Clark's arc of like realizing that he's who he is because of who he is, not because of what his parents or anyone instilled into him. I thought that was actually like a nice little message or lesson for Clark to learn toward the end of the movie. But maybe they'll retcon that again in like the later movies in the DC universe. I again don't really personally have an issue with that, but I can see how people might have an issue with that. Also, some of the things that Lex Luthor did. So he has like this pocket dimension, which I think is a cool idea because one, it does make it more comic booky. Like, this is a Lex that has like that kind of tech to be more sci-fi heavy, and it's also tech that's you know, that can potentially destroy the world because they said in the movie that it can cause a black hole if he uses it too much. But where it starts losing me a little bit is what he actually uses it for. So it's basically like a supervision prison, but the people that he puts in the prison cells are like people that are like his haters or like his ex-girlfriends. I thought that was really silly. And then what completely like took me out of the movie entirely, not entirely, but took me out of his character was apparently he has monkeys that are trained to give Superman like hate comments on Twitter, which I thought that was really silly. And like, again, it's funny, and I guess I could see that in a comic book, but like for like a movie, it just, that didn't work for me. Other things that were spoilers, Krypto ruined the scene towards the end of the movie. So like the first time Clark and Lex have like a decent conversation, so Superman says his piece on like why his view or what his views are, and then Lex is about to say his piece, and then Krypto just starts ragdolling him like he's Loki, he's Loki and Krypto's the Hulk. Like it just completely took me out of the scene. It was funny, but like I would have liked Lex Luthor to say what he had to say, so we got his side of what that argument. We never really got that. Also, I like the explanation for why Krypto is kind of unruly. So you would think that Superman's so nice, he probably wouldn't know how to train Krypto, but it's actually because Krypto is not his dog. He's Supergirl's dog, and Supergirl is characterized in this movie as kind of like this young, like late teens, early 20s type person who's trying to figure out her life. So she, you know, because she owns Krypto, she probably doesn't know how to train him very well. So that's why Krypto is kind of like this wild dog throughout the entire movie. I thought that was kind of a clever explanation for why Krypto is the way that he is. And also there's like a cute little Peacemaker video, or sorry, Peacemaker cameo in the movie. I made a Peacemaker video, which is why I appreciate that. Peacemaker is a great show if you haven't seen that. And I think James Gunn said that's like his favorite project he ever worked on, so good for him. Yeah, I think that's about it. That's my entire thoughts in the movie. Thank you guys for watching. Look forward to more videos soon. I also live stream on YouTube and Twitch. I see some people probably leaving the channel because I'm live streaming a lot, but I do that because I want to talk to you guys. I want to like form a connection to you guys, our community. So please join the live streams if you just want to talk, or join the Discord server too. That, you know, I talk to people there. I also drop like sneak peeks to future videos in there when I have something presentable for people. So I just drop that for free. Usually people, you know, drop it on a Patreon, but I have a Patreon, but like I don't really use it that much because I don't use it. So yeah, join the Discord server and want some free sneak peeks of my future videos and stuff like that. So yeah, that's honestly about it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video or whatever, and you know, live streams if you join that. Bye.